Another material we can look at and map type that we can look at the same time is something called a cutout map, or referred to as well as either a opacity map or a transparency map. A cutout map can save you many hours in producing a geometrical-like effect without having to model it. We're going to use the example of a chain link fence to show this effect. So I've created an object here that looks like one segment of a chain link fence, and I've applied here a brushed metal material from the templates here in the Arch and Design. Now, the brushed metal is pretty reflective, so what I'm going to do to start with is to tone down the reflectivity. Typically a chain link fence is not going to be very reflective, so I'm going to turn down those values right away. And also let's move this area that we're going to render, and then go ahead and render that. So you can see how that change has really affected the reflection here on those posts, and it also actually brings the rendering time down considerably because the reflection doesn't take as long to calculate. Let's go ahead and copy this material. Let's give it a name first. So we'll call it metal poles. Let's go ahead and copy it. And give the second material, just call it metal chain link. When you scroll down, you'll find here a cutout map, and when you select none, go to bitmap, and here we're going to need to go to the maps directory of 3ds Max. I'm going to also go into the Arch map directory, and let's look at the various maps that we have there. Now I know it's in the site work area, so I'll skip down. And here are the chain link maps that we can use. You'll notice here one is a bump map, one is a cutout map, and one is it's a diffuse map, even though it's not identified as such. So we're going to select the cutout map and click on Open. Let's go ahead and have a look at this map in a bit more detail. And for the purposes of the understanding our sizes, this is going to be about 12 inches by 8 inches. So let's go ahead and enter those values here. I'm working in centimeters. So 30 centimeters by 20. And we can display that in the viewport. And let's go ahead and apply that material to our chain link object. You can see now the map immediately in the viewport. And let's go ahead and render. So you can see here the result of having applied this cutout map to this surface. We get the appearance of a chain link fence without having had to model it geometrically. And for the most part, this will do just fine in many situations. So anytime you can identify a situation where you could produce a map instead of creating geometry, this is a good strategy to employ to keep your modeling phases down. You can see as well the shadows go through this cutout map. Now if you want, you can continue with this particular material by adding the bump map that we saw in the arch maps. And also the diffuse map. And again, you have to be careful here that you always enter the scales so that they're identical. So that was the bump map. Let's maybe increase that a little bit. And for the diffuse map, we go up to the diffuse channel. And again, scroll down into the site work area. And find our map. And once again, enter our sizes. Before we render, let's see a before and after. So we'll clone our rendered window and go ahead and render. So here's the net effect of having added the bump and the diffuse map. You can see that there's not a dramatic difference between the clone and what we've added. But once again, the effect of using cutout maps are quite dramatic and potentially very time-saving in terms of geometry and, in fact, in terms of rendering as well.